So I've been working remotely in the Netherlands for about 2 months now. And before I moved here, I thought that there can't be that many differences between working at home in the US and working at home in the Netherlands. Well, it turns out I was wrong. And so here are some things that I've had to get used to while working here. So like I mentioned, I work remotely, which means that I don't have an office that I need to report to every day. And this is super nice for me because I've never liked going to an office for work. I've always liked just being in like a cozier type of place. But sometimes remote work can have you feeling a little stir crazy after being in the house all day. So when I'm feeling like I want a little more social interaction or I just want to get out of the house, then my go-to habit is to look up a nearby cafe or a coffee shop where I can go and post up with my laptop, maybe get a nice tasty treat and a warm drink and just relax there, do some work and some people watching. And it's super common in the US to see remote workers treat cafes and coffee shops as little makeshift, cozier versions of an office. But recently, I learned that this is not okay in the Netherlands. A few weeks ago, I was feeling the urge to get out of the house and have a nice, cozy work session at a nearby cafe. So I quickly wandered over to my nearest cafe, grabbed a drink, set down my laptop, started setting up my workstation so I could get some work done. And an employee quickly came over to me and was like, "You can't do that." They said it in a nice way, but they were just like, "Yeah, we don't allow that here." And to me, as an American, I was just kind of like dumbfounded. I was like, "What do you mean?" What do you mean that this isn't allowed here? It was such a weird concept to me at the time. But yeah, in the Netherlands, a lot of Dutch cafes don't actually allow you to work in them. They have something that's called a no screens policy. And so if you're a remote worker, you have to find a cafe that specifically allows you to work there. In Amersfoort, I only know of one coffee place that allows you to work, and it's called Livingstone Coffee, but I obviously haven't been here super long, so if you have any other suggestions, then please let me know in the comments below. And I'm kind of on the fence on if I like this or not. On one hand, us Americans do work entirely too long, and we do bring work with us into places where it absolutely should not be. And so it's really nice to see people enjoying cafes as they were intended to be a social spot, to meet with people, and to just have a good time without staring at your screen. But on the other hand, as a remote worker, sometimes it is nice to get out of the house and have a nice, cozy, relaxing spot to get some work done. And if you work remotely in the Netherlands, then I'd love to know what you feel about this. Do you prefer to have a completely separate space for work time and social time, or would you like there to be some gray area? So in the US, it's totally normal for when you first meet someone for them to ask you what you do for work. But here, I've met so many Dutch people and I have yet to be asked what I do for work. And it's so refreshing because in the US, I would go out and meet people and they would spend the entire time wanting to know what I do for work or talking about their job. And it's just honestly not that interesting. But Americans can tend to think that the type of job that you have is reflective of you as a person. And we also kind of think that everyone should be passionate about their jobs as well. But the issue is that for a lot of people, a job is just a job. It's just a place where we make money to live. And you don't really want to be talking about that when you're going out to have a good time. And so I really, really enjoy that the Dutch don't put a lot of emphasis on it when trying to get to know you. Another thing that I've had to get used to is the really crazy hours as a freelance remote worker that has US-based clients. So yeah, all of my clients are based in the US, and so I work off of their time zone. And because they're about 6 to 9 hours behind the Netherlands, my workday essentially doesn't start until about 2 p.m. here. And not gonna lie, this took a lot to get used to, but I've really grown to love having the mornings to myself. I can wake up slow, have a nice breakfast and a tea, and just wander around my town or these nice little trails and just really have a mindful morning and afternoon. And the last thing that I've had to get used to is how much CZPs and freelancers have to pay in taxes here. And yes, it is a lot because we don't get the 30% ruling that other expats get. But I do want to say that I'm not complaining about it. I'm someone who doesn't mind paying for taxes if I see that it's going to good use. For example, in America, I was paying taxes, but you literally couldn't see the return on it anywhere. Our parks and recreation were just like awful. And in Chicago in particular, there's this funny saying that goes, if you're driving down the road and you're driving straight, then the cops will pull you over because they'll assume that you're drunk, because everyone that is sane drives in kind of like a zigzag in Chicago to avoid all the potholes and cracks and just our streets not being maintained like they are here. But anyways, I can definitely see the taxes going to bettering the everyday lives of people here. From how well the Dutch maintain their streets, to how clean everything is, to all of your social programs, it's working. And it's really apparent that taxes are used to increase the happiness of myself and others around me, so I'm happy to spend it. Anyways, those were just a few things that I've had to get used to as an American freelancer in the Netherlands. There are a lot of videos out there about working as an expat for a Dutch company, but I couldn't really find anything on working as a remote freelancer, especially an American working as a remote freelancer here. So I thought I'd weigh in. I'd love to know your thoughts on this video. If you're a remote worker, I'd love to know your experiences that you've had here. And yeah, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!